welcome to the Tim Smith Coaches Show. Now to your host, Chuck Tracy.
All right, let's hear it for Coach, everybody. We want to welcome everybody for this week's edition of the Coach Tim Smith Show. As you can see, our intro still says Coach Tim Smith Show. We haven't had a chance to change any names. So I want to thank Brooklyn Heights Pizza. If you're listening in, you haven't been out to Brooklyn Heights, come on out. We're at Crystal Falls and Lakeline in Leander for tonight's broadcast, and so far all the broadcasters. We'd also like to thank the Booster Club, Leander Booster Club, obviously coaches and players, and then everybody who helps put this on. Coach, we're about 70% of the way through the regular season. We're just going to jump right in, by the way.
Right.
You're 3-4 overall, 2-2 in district.
Yes, sir.
25-5A, tough district, obviously. Talk about what your expectations are for this group here for the remainder of the season. How you hope to see it play out. What you can see from them, and if you would kind of focus on how far they've progressed from this last spring or this past spring and through these first 7 games.
On our foundation, we have faith, family, academics, football, and speed strength. And on the bottom, one of our components is make a difference and compete and improvement and train our young. And they've done a tremendous job focusing on that foundation, and the competition every day and the improvement every day has been there. So we feel like we set that bar every day, and we try to raise that bar every day to our new standard. We'll get there as a program, and they're doing a tremendous job. From the spring to now, the effort was there, the effort is still there, but they've improved a lot as far as strength and as football players.
Now, in that, in spirit of as you said, the older group helping out the younger guys, are you seeing that kind of trickle down into the younger group at all? It's
not where we need it to be, but they're getting better. We need to model it better, and I need to kind of reinforce when I do see that at practice and in the locker rooms. And what you see a lot of is them helping with academics with the younger kids. We need to start training our young as far as how to behave in the classroom and how to practice and how to do certain techniques also.
Okay. Well, along those lines, I've noticed that the guys do kind of, especially the older group, they do kind of focus on helping the younger guys out, at least in demonstrating different techniques or what they should be doing. But maybe they're not mentoring them in a way that they can mentor the younger group behind them, and maybe that could be a focus in the off season with some of the guys.
They're doing good. It needs to be a consistent basis, and they can't. When you're tired, you want to take a break and get a drink. Well, it's more important to help that younger player get better. And once they get that and understand that, it'll make our program jump.
I think a lot of that comes along with maturity.
Are you seeing that from your JV and sophomore team down to your freshman team as well?
I see it probably daily, but I see it periodically. I need to see it in every position group we have. Right. And it's getting better. It just needs to be a priority every day. They need to go out to practice. Like if you're a number one and it's your turn to go, you need to kind of like show off. Yeah, I got this. I'm good. And then go back to the end of the line, and they need to help those other guys on how to do it right. Start with your left foot. Take this step. And it's getting there. It's getting there. You see a lot, and the younger kids are responding to that peer teaching.
And really, that's more of a life lesson, not just football related, right?
Yeah, correct. And you'll know, like we have 13 coaches. We can't be everywhere, but that senior leadership is there. And some of those guys have been on the varsity for 3 years. They know what's going on, and they know what the techniques we want. So they're really helping, and they're stepping up also.
And whether they realize it or not, that kind of that help where they're reaching out and helping, it's actually helping themselves develop both, not only as just young men, but as players.
Correct. And then when that sophomore that's getting help from that senior player, when he's a junior and he's a senior, we expect him to do the same thing because he was helped. And it's a great cycle to get into, and it's a great thing for your program at all levels, in the weight room, in the classroom, and the field, and you'll start seeing that happen.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you a simple yes/no question in this first question, and that's the kind of response I want. And then you can expand on it a little bit with the second follow-up question. Can this team make the playoffs?
I expect them to make the playoffs. We kind of control our own destiny. The key number is 4. We want to get 4 wins in our district. We want to go 4-3 in our district. Doesn't matter how we get 4 wins. That should get you in the playoffs. Now, we control whether we get in or not. So we're in really good shape. By beating Georgetown, our first district game, that kind of put us in the driver's seat. And Georgetown and Dripping Springs are kind of chasing up.
Outside looking in.
Yes, and Dripping Springs is probably looking at that Week 10 the same way we are. That game will be probably before playoff time.
Yeah, and in this district, pretty much every game is a playoff. You've got, some of the top tier teams in the state that you faced. We went through the gauntlet with Cedar Park and Vandergrift, but we still have the Eastview team and Vista Ridge, which came on pretty strong again this season. I would say every game is a playoff.
Yeah, and that one's going to even be an extra round of the playoffs, possibly.
Correct. We can say we start playoffs right now. The competition is very good in our district. We got to play with that kind of, atmosphere, that kind of intensity each week. That's a good question.
Well, along the lines of the toughness of this district, we make 4th, maybe even 3rd spot there in district. How deep of a run can this team put together week in, week out? Are they got the ability to play it one week at a time and take on each team individually?
Great question. Big school draw because we're the biggest school in the district, so we'll be in that big school bracket. It aligns pretty good. The first round game against HISD or AISD, will probably be facing LBJ, and they're going to be very athletic and very well coached. But that's a game we could win.
Right.
The second round is going to probably be out of that Alamo Heights, someone like that, or Bernie Champion, that class right there, which is their district kind of matches up real nice with ours. They're not the caliber of Cedar Park or Vandergrift or even Vista, but they'll match up with us very well.
Some of the top teams in that district are decent, though. Like
they're pretty decent. They're not in the same caliber as Vandy or Cedar Park.
But we can compete with them.
Yes, they're probably very comparable to us and Vista and the AISD district.
So, getting a little ahead of ourselves, and this may be a little pie in the sky kind of. How many playoff games do you have to win to make it to Dallas?
You got to start with 1.
Right.
Start with 1, and then if you win 6 in a row, you're the champ.
6 in a row.
Yep.
Okay. You hear that, fellas? That's work cut out.
They're eating right now.
They're not listening.
They're focused. They're like lions over there eating. That's what they are.
Okay.
I had a question going back to the first podcast we did. You kind of told everybody a little bit about where you came from, your college you went to, so forth and so on. Coming from outside the state of Texas, was it an aspiration of yours to get to Texas to coach football? I mean, how did that come about? And let alone in Central Texas at that.
Great question. To get a job up north, it's really hard. And I went to Coach Mummy, and he goes, "I'll get you a job." He goes, "If you want to coach football, you need to go to Texas." And I was like, "Let's go." I mean, I was single. I loaded up everything that I owned in my 1987 Escort, and I drove to Texas without a job. And I went to coaching school, and I met Mark Coley, and he offered me a middle school job. And you can't, if you want to coach football, if you just want to coach, this is the place to be. As far as coming to Central Texas, I coached in Houston for 12 years, and with bad luck, I was at Deer Park, and my head coach passed away. And so I needed a job. So I came up here with Coach Chester, got the job. He was in North Shore, he got the job, and started going that game.
Okay. Now I want to talk about a more on the timeline, more recent events. Talk about the Marble Falls game, specifically what was positive, then go into what needs to be polished up heading into those last 3 district games, which essentially are a playoff games.
We kind of went to Marble Falls, kind of like treating it like this is a business game. We got to take care of business. We knew we were better than them, but we needed to take care of business and and execute and kind of just function. On offense, we wanted to go fast and just kind of run them off the field.
Tempo.
They had some players that played both ways, and we felt like if we ran about, I think we ran 76 plays, and they ran like 60. So we kind of ran them off the field. They got tired towards the game, and you can see by that, it just went down. Their school's small, they don't have big numbers, and we felt they were kind of run down. Defensively, we were real aggressive. We scored 2 touchdowns. I think it was Alex Williams who scored a touchdown.
He did get one.
He scored one, and Matthew Long picked up a fumble and scored. I think we had 5 turnovers, so we did a good job there.
So do you credit the offensive line at all for wearing the armor down?
Our offensive line has improved so much from even my first day as a Leander coach. Coach McGill does a great job. All our offensive line, they take a lot of pride in technique and playing harder on the defensive line. Really proud of those guys.
Excellent.
Well,
what about the movement of some players from the offensive side to the defensive side of the ball? Specifically, talk about the Ray Gibson.
we moved Ray over. He's kind of nicked up, so we thought we could kind of protect him a little bit better on defense. But we wanted to give a little bit more explosion right noise. And Levi Beck is so fast, and we wanted to use him on offense. And kind of Greg and Coach Rob kind of doing over there to use it. So we got him on offense, and we want to use his speed. Utilize his speed on offense and defense. So Ray played really well. I think he hurt one of their quarterbacks.
He did knock one out, and it looked like the second one wanted to leave after one of the blitzes.
He was not. I think they got really frustrated in the game. They ripped Ray's helmet off. And that's what happens when you play that hard for that long. People get frustrated.
I was just a little shock's really not the word, but maybe surprised by the impact that he had. It almost, looking back, it's not quite as surprising.
Yeah.
At the time.
Ray is a real good athlete, and Coach Rob always said, who decided he was a running back? So we wanted to look at him on defense. We thought about moving the corner this summer, but I said just put him an outside backer and turn him loose, and then that's what Coach Rob did. And I don't think he ever dropped in coverage. I think he was coming every time. A lot of tackles, a lot of hits on the quarterback. That old Al Davis. The quarterback must go down. He must go down hard. So.
Well, it was effective, and in fact, I think it was him, and I could be wrong. Y'all watched the film since that tipped the pass that Alex scooped.
I'm not sure who tipped it. Coach Rob, who tipped that? Who tipped the pass the ball that Alex caught? Do you remember?
He's giving credit to Luke Owens.
Luke Owens, okay.
Yeah. That's a good guess.
Luke
at least.
Owen.
If I don't know who makes the tackle, sometimes I just say Luke Owens.
Pick a name.
So.
There you go.
He's the go-to.
You need to say Crazy make the tackle or something. Yeah.
Now, Eastview, the upcoming opponent. Obviously, they start the season 3-0, and then they run into the buzzsaw that is 25-5A. What can you tell us about them? Are they a wounded animal, or is it inexperience?
That's they graduated, I don't know, like 40 seniors last year. And a lot of those seniors last year went both ways. So they're playing with like their younger group. And with a lot of young programs, that their program, until they get established, they're going to go up and down. Their coaches are real good. Coach Dykes is their OC. Coach Davies is the head coach there. Coach Dykes, remember, was at Lake Travis when they won their first state championship. You can just see that they're coming. And, I think they're younger. Their JV programs, their freshman programs are pretty decent. They have struggled at 25-5A. But that you can't tell on film. If you didn't know the scores, a lot of times you wouldn't know who won because how hard they play.
Yeah, the little bit that I watched on Time Warner of the Georgetown Eastview game, they were competitive, at least on the part that I saw. I know the final didn't reflect that, but we've been on the wrong end of those as well.
Yes, sir.
Now do you have any more questions for Coach?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to go back to the Marble Falls game on offense. In the first half you struggled a little bit, but in the second half you came out. There was, you had some good drives. A lot of rhythm was created. With Parker being out of part of the Georgetown game and all of the Vandegrift game, was it that first half? Was that going into that where some of the struggles because of the rhythm that he hasn't had with the receivers and so forth, or was it something y'all saw in the first half that the defense was giving you that y'all made some adjustments, or a little bit of both? Or
great question. It does. When you play it's not easy playing quarterback in our system and at Leander. It's not easy, and so when you see them playing well, it looks easy.
Right.
When you see them struggle, like against Cedar Park and all that stuff, and it can get hard. And Parker got a little bit of rhythm against Cedar Park, and it's like a lot of things. You just need to get back in the saddle, back in the well, and throw with some calmness in that pocket. And our O-line gave him a little bit of some time, and he was fine. I think if you keep the quarterback's face and feet clean, he allows them to read, and that's what they did against Marble. Parker will be real good. All quarterbacks in general will be real good.
Yeah, and I was wondering because you had Gabriel Sanchez out, as a quarterback too, so he also had to make some adjustments to get back into his rhythm as a receiver
and
running his routes.
That was a lot to ask of Gabe too, because the reps he gets at quarterback are very not minimal. Like on Wednesdays, he gets a lot more reps. But not quite the extent that Parker does. So it was a lot to ask Gabe, and he did very well against Vanderbilt. I was real happy with, how he played and the performance he did.
Okay.
It's a pretty good interview too last week.
Yeah, he did good. He did good.
Yeah, we had some great interviews from the players. Hopefully, the ones we have up here tonight can.
I think Parker's going to go tonight. Parker McNeil, you're coming up here tonight, right? Okay.
Yeah. So
Well,
don't
let's
get
see
any
if the
pizza on your
audience
shirt.
has any questions
You're
for
gonna
you,
be on
Coach.
camera.
Anybody out in the audience have a question for Coach Smith?
It's a good time to ask. They're pretty focused on the pizza and wings.
Potter cannot
Chewy,
play
how many wings have you
quarterback.
eaten? Look at his plate. Wow.
He's a
That's
growing
impressive.
boy.
That's
He's
impressive
growing.
right there.
Yeah.
You got to like that from
Yeah.
your offensive lineman.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have any questions for Coach Smith up here? Players? Focus. They're focused, like you
All
said.
right, yeah,
on
they're-
Hey, Ty, turn around. Let's show everyone that we got new shirts right there. Turn around, Ty. That's pretty good. We got brother on the back.
Oh,
We can
that's
get most of
nice.
that, yeah.
And I like the red. I
Only
like-
locker room. Your locker was clean, and your locker. We gave this away today.
Okay, well, before we move on to the next person we're going to interview, we're going to ask a trivia. Eagles and footballs, get ready to throw.
Yeah.
And this is to see if you were paying attention at last week's podcast. And it'll be the first person who raises their hand that we decide was the first person. So the question is, during the interview with Coach Rob, he was asked who his favorite coach is. Who is?
No one knows.
No one was listening when Coach Rob talked about who his favorite coach was.
Did we mention we're giving away one of these prize footballs?
Anyone?
Wow. I guess Coach Rob's really not that important.
Alex,
I guess.
you were here.
No, he wasn't here
Oh,
last
he was.
week.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Anyone? No one knows.
Okay, we have a. Go ahead.
Incorrect.
Good guess,
Incorrect.
though.
It was a good guess.
Very good guess. You're close, though.
Anyone else besides Jeremy? Anyone else?
Nope.
What do you got? Yeah, you. Wrong again.
Right here?
Donnie. Nope.
Nope.
I'll give
You're
you a hint.
real close. Donnie.
It's a college football coach. No.
No, it's
No,
not.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Wrong coach. I was wrong.
It's one of your coaches.
Yeah, it's one of our coaches. What'd you say, Pedro? No. Yes.
There it is.
That's right.
Coach
governor.
McNeil is Coach Rob's favorite coach. Go back and listen if you want to know.
Gary.
All right, who's next? Who we got on the docket? Coach Dubleby, I believe,
Yes.
is coming up. Coach Doubleby, have you finished eating? Everybody get a hand for Coach Doubleby.
No, you're fine.
Interviewed yet.
Correct.
You're the special teams coordinator, and then we haven't interviewed the strength coordinator.
That's correct.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you a couple of the questions that we asked the other coaches, and basically this is your opportunity to toot your own horn. We want to know about your playing and coaching experiences. Go back all the way to, Pop Warner if you need to or whatever. But
okay.
Tell us about where you played.
Well, I grew up kind of in this area, mainly over there by Palmer, McNeil. Then we moved out to Avery Ranch. I went to McNeil High School. I played football there for 4 years, and then just ended up going to college at Texas State there. I knew I wanted to be a coach. You know what they say, what you can't do, you can teach.
Right.
Okay. But I did that. Like I said, born and raised in this area, so I've been around. Went to college. I always knew when I got out I wanted to be back in Leander ISD. Right. When I was in high school, it was McNeil, Leander, Pflugerville. They kind of ran the whole area around here. So that's kind of what I wanted to be a part of, is get back in here. My family, my wife's family owns a business here in Leander, and we just kind of wanted to centralize our life here. So that's kind of where we ended up here.
It's a good place to raise kids.
It is.
That leads me into my first couple things I wanted to say. First of all, I wanted to say happy 1,411 days for your anniversary of you and your wife.
Thank you.
Players, if y'all don't know this, you can Google your coach's name. And he's got a pretty little wedding website you can go on to find out about him. Sorry, Coach.
Is that from Turner?
Yeah. And that, going into going into Texas State and getting your degree in education and this dream of being a coach, what or who influenced you to take that direction?
I'd say one of my biggest influences, there's two of them really, and that's Coach Guillory and Coach Estes, both who are still currently at McNeil. And Coach Estes was my defensive coordinator when I was there. I learned a lot of football from him, and I actually got a chance to go back and coach with him 2 years at McNeil. Coach Guillory was my secondary coach. I played safety there for him. And like I said, he's just another person I was able to learn a lot of football from. I got to coach with him as well at McNeil when I went back and coached my 2 years at McNeil.
So you still lean a lot on those guys now?
Oh, yeah. It's funny because, McNeil's kind of in the same position that we are right now. If we hold our own destiny, whether we make the playoffs or not. So we've been texting back and forth, and I've had certain secondary questions I've bounced off Coach Guillory, and just overall football questions I've bounced off Coach Estes. Whenever we're around each other or whatever.
Yeah, this Central Texas coaching network is pretty tight.
Yeah, it is.
That's good. We mentioned having some players up here, and we had, Pedro Silva up here, and a guy like that's got a lot of passion and drive. How fun is it to work with these young guys and getting the opportunity to watch them grow, not only as players but as individuals? Like, what do you enjoy about that?
I just like seeing the growth in the kids. You see when you come in there and we teach a concept, at first they might not grasp it right away, and you work the technique, you run different routes at them, with Pedro's instance. What I like to see is, like, in the Cedar Park game, Pedro finally got the concept of the coverage we were running, and he should have had 3 interceptions.
Right.
And had one good one. Players like that they've got the ability to make plays, and when they finally grasp what we're trying to do and where to be on the field and what you're looking for,
I can see it.
When you see that connect, that's the best part of it.
So do you know about this island that he plays on called 10 Reasons?
10 Reasons. I mean, I've heard of it. We've had discussions this week, though, about it.
Okay. When Chuck and I call the games on Fridays through Texas Sports Radio Network, and right off the bat, we noticed that the special teams was on point. There was some couple plays at the beginning of the season on I think it was Pflugerville's first drive, and I think Killeen, where they took the ball and got some yardage on the kickoff return. Outside of those plays, your special teams just done a great job, and they've been a big part of the wins that you've had this season. You've got Murdoch kicking. You've had great coverage on the punt and returns, kickoff returns. Talk a little bit about some of your expectations as a special teams coordinator that you either preach or you expect and drill into these players on these special teams units.
Really what we want those guys to do when we put them out there is let loose. We want them to run down and make plays. The guys that we have on special teams are ones that we think can go down and play fast, get down the field and make a play. Going back to the beginning, we had the block punt against Vandegrift. We were able to go back and fix that. Kickoff has been very strong. I
still feel like that was an onside recovery.
It was close. After looking at it on film a couple times, it was very close, and Murdoch did a very good job of trying to sneak that across the line, but they ultimately didn't give it to us. But what we ask of those guys to do is run down the field and make plays. And those are the guys we feel we have on there are going to be the ones that can do that for us. And we call them the Freak Show, our special teams units.
You have to be a little bit fearless on kickoff coverage. I think you run down there.
No,
hard.
you do. You have to kind of be able to give your all when you run down there, because
the most dangerous play in football, in my opinion.
I could agree with that.
And fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
if you like to hit, anyways.
Yeah.
The collisions are fantastic.
Yeah. What do you, from your special teams perspective, do you get to kind of be part of picking those guys on the team, and do you make adjustments weekly to get these special guys on the team?
Yeah, we at the beginning of the year, we as coaching staff kind of, I went through and laid out who I thought would go in certain places. And then we sat down with Coach Smith, Coach Rob, and some of the other defensive coaches, Coach Grayless and Coach McClain, and we said, okay, we need to look at where the starters are and all that and how many reps they're going to be playing. So that's where we started. And then each week after that, it's kind of just like offense. We're going to evaluate how you performed. And then if we need to move people around, which we've moved people around on kickoff, we've added people that came back from injury, or we've found some people that have stepped up where we could give some starters a break. We brought some JV kids up that are able to play on kickoff that can get some of the starters off the field so they're not playing so many reps. So it's really a whole coaching staff effort when it comes to that, because, I may not be thinking the same thing Coach Rob's thinking about reps. I'm thinking about I want the best on the field.
Best 11, right.
But if someone's able to step up and we can get someone off the field that can catch a breather, then we work together to kind of make sure that we've got the best guys that aren't going to be worn out. Because if you're tired running down on kickoff, you're not going to give your all. Or if you're tired on kickoff return, you might miss your blocking assignment. So what we want is we want guys out there that know what they're doing and are ready to go.
Yeah. I've always seen the special teams kind of like the Marines. You're the first ones on the field. You're the one that sets the tone for the game. Is that something that these guys get excited about?
Yeah, and the big thing is like you said, we have Murdoch kicking for us, and I think he does a good job of whether we want to go right, left, pooch, surprise onside. And what I think fires up the kids a little bit is knowing that they're going to get a shot to go down there because it's going to be where we asked it to be. So I mean, being able to kick it, being able to do that, and being able to have those guys that go down there. That's the first thing I say to them if we're kicking off right away. I tell them, here's where we set the tone. Here's where we let them know what the rest of the game's going to be like.
That's actually a good mantra. The Marines, the tip of the spear goes along with Mulan Labe because that's
right.
what they were come take the spear.
That's right.
So, you might add that in.
Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna add it. I mean, explain as a DB coach when you got kids like Isaiah Turner and Pedro Silva. How much easier does that make your job to have guys with that kind of passion and drive?
Well, what it does is it makes it just that much more fun. We're able to do more things because they understand the game.
Right.
We're able to put them, like, on their own sometimes to where we can say, all right, we want to do this blitz or we want to do attack them this way. Well, how are we going to do it in the secondary? Well, we can man those two up and just let them play football. And so that's what's fun about it is because we're able to do, and Coach Rob's able to come up with, some exotic blitzes and stuff like that, and we just say, okay, well, we got them, we're good.
And defensive back, to me, is one of the more technical positions on the defensive side of the ball because you've got so many different types of techniques that you might have to employ in any given coverage situation. That's where it really pays off having guys with knowledge and experience.
Well, I always, I tell them the thing is everybody wants to be the Darrelle Revis and wants to be the Jason Sehorns.
Watch the 60 minutes on Darrelle Revis from this past Sunday.
But what I tell them,
to be Darrelle Revis.
But what I tell them at the very beginning when we start spring ball or the very beginning of the year is you're a technician first.
Right.
You have to know your technique. And you have to execute your technique, or you are on an island, and
there's not any.
That island gets very lonely on Friday nights if you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So.
Yeah, and we've seen it from every one of these DBs out there. Time and time again, we call all their names. Even the sophomores. Noah King gets out there and makes a play. Paxton has done a great job coming in. Being a DB and you're facing these teams and these high-powered offenses, I noticed that Marble Falls was kind of more running the ball a little bit earlier in the season, but they came and they challenged your guys, and they were doing a pretty good job at it, getting the number 2 over there and running up the field. Yeah,
and we talked to our guys on Saturday after the game. We kind of went into the game knowing they wanted to run, but that they had that number 2 guy out there that he could expose us, and they did a good job of finding different ways to get him the football. And so what we told them on Saturday is Monday we're going to come back. Like Coach Smith says, it's about the process, not just Marble Falls, but we got to learn to win. We got to learn how to do our technique right. I think a lot of the issues we had Friday night were technique driven. And so we really went at them hard this week with technique and working our different coverages and where their eyes should be, how their feet should look, all that stuff. And so, we attacked it, and we feel we're going to, they'll come out and they'll show everybody why they've had so much success the first 7 games. Yeah. 6 games.
Good deal. You got any questions?
No, I think that's good, Coach. How's Dakota's team record?
Dakota's team, they're in the 9U league, and they're all 8-year-olds, so they're struggling a little bit. They've got a couple wins.
They got to put the work in.
Yeah,
it's good for them, though.
So they'll all be back on the same team next year. We're excited about that. So
yeah, that's a good league. You mentioned integrating yourself back into the community out here, and that's exactly what that league kind of does.
Well, that Leander Youth League it's great for the kids. All those kids, they go to school together. They're zoned for Leander. It's a lot of these kids played together growing up too. It's really nice to have that for the kids, and then I get to go over there and see my son wearing the Leander gear and the Leander football jerseys and stuff.
That's
like that.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with these guys, they had to play against each other a lot.
Oh yeah.
They have to play alongside with those kids from Cedar Park that they have to go against. Now you don't want to do that.
No.
All right. Does anybody out in the audience got a question for Coach Doubleby? Special teams questions they're hard to come by. So, anyone? No? Coach Dumbleby, thank you very much for coming out.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's hear it for Coach. All right, I believe we are interviewing at least one player. Coach Pleasant's coming on up. All right. That's a kind of sparse applause for Coach Pleasant. We can do better than that, guys. Come on.
Can we get a bigger round of applause for Coach Pleasant?
Let's hear it.
They're still very focused on their chow.
Yeah, they're still eating.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's good. You want them eating. Yeah, especially the linemen. All right, Coach. Ben, this is your second interview, right? You missed
third.
Third,
Yeah. Third interview.
This is old hat then. Talk about Marble Falls. How did the offense play? What did you see that stood out offensively, position group-wise, player-wise?
Offensively, I thought we did a good job showing up. We still had some mistakes here and there, but I think at times, and I think people got a chance to see how good we could be. You know, we got a chance to run the football effective at times. Our quarterback lit it up through the air. You can see he's got some new targets, and I thought overall, in the end, we performed pretty good.
Did you do you feel like we ran better, or that we threw the ball a little better?
I thought this past game against Marble, we threw the ball a little bit better than we ran it. You know, our running attack wasn't as good as we wanted it to be, but you know, we also were able to throw the football.
Sure.
And it was pretty
makes
fun.
it a lot harder to even want to run the ball.
Exactly.
Yeah, going back to those targets you speak of, everybody kind of got a chance to get the ball. You had some passes thrown to Gabriel Sanchez. You had some to Michael Berry. New Flowers coming in and making some big plays. Talk a little bit about these guys.
Well, our receiving core does a good job every day. They work hard. We tell them every day, look the ball all the way into your hands and to the tuck. And so they put a lot of work and effort into it. And I think, like I told you last week, when they practice like that, we call it getting paid. And last Friday they got paid.
Yeah, look good.
And they went out and performed very well. And our receiving core is doing an excellent job. It's really exciting to see Parker has a chance to not only hit our tight end, but to also hit the wideouts. And you guys got a chance to watch it. We spread the ball around. We're pretty effective.
And I noticed a lot of great effort and second effort. I think it wasn't Gabriel Sanchez who caught the tip in the end zone.
It was actually Ty Worthy off Barry's hands. Yeah, went through Barry's.
He stood up.
Yeah, he stood up.
That's a great play. And it was almost double jeopardy. He had to go score twice.
Yeah, when it went through his hands, I was a little nervous, but Ty was there in the right place, right time. And, got to have a little luck on your side as well.
Yeah, and you can see the progression with Flowers in the game. You could see the first couple of passes where he kind of went up and expected the ball to be in his hands, but later on as the game went on, he noticed that he had to fight for that ball.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We tell our kids all our receivers know that nothing's going to be given to you. When you go up, you have to attack the football with your hands, and that's what we preach every day to them. And I tell you right now, it was a couple of Gabe's catches, some other guys' catches. You can see their heads snap down to their hands, and that's that part of practice that they implemented in their game on Friday. And let me tell you, they performed really well.
Well, you mentioned luck. Sometimes you got to be lucky. Well, there's blind squirrel finds acorn luck, and then there's you're pretty good, so you put yourself in a position to make a lucky play.
Yes, sir.
Like I know you're the offensive coordinator, but like Alex Williams' interception, he's there.
Oh, yeah.
Tip drill. You've got, the play with Worthy here.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's not really it's almost the difference between this team and last year's team in that they put themselves in a position to make the play a little better.
Yes, sir.
And then some things bounce their way.
Yes.
So.
Like I said, a little bit of luck on your side that didn't hurt anything at all. So,
do you see your leaders like Gabe Sanchez? Do you see him out there working with these other receivers, getting these routes down and fine tuning?
Most definitely. I know Coach Smith harps on it a lot. We got to coach our young, and it's not always me or an offensive coach having to correct one of the younger guys who are doing it wrong. You start to see that senior group and those leaders step up and say, hey, this is the way we have to do it. This is why we do it. and this is why it's going to work. And so when players are coaching players and getting each other better, I mean, that makes our team better. You know, I tell our guys all the time, if you're unselfish, we'll be very good. If you're selfish, then you know the result of that.
That's right.
So
It's never good.
Yeah, it's never good.
Well, let me ask you a little bit. You know, this we had some players switch sides of the football this past week. It was more pronounced this week, but you know, Matthew Long has been playing on offense for a few weeks now.
Yes, sir.
I guess my first question regarding that and Ray Gibson going over and playing defense is, do you and Coach Rob work out some kind of arrangement? Is it I'll give you Ray Gibson and for 2 series and a diet soda for Matthew Long? Nothing like that?
No deal made. We sat down with Coach Rob, Coach Smith, and the coordinator sat down and just said, you know, what gives us the best chance to win? We want our kids to get paid. We want them to play, get a chance to play in the postseason. And, you know, they got some talent to play on both sides of the ball.
Right.
So, you know,
It almost looked like they flipped positions this week.
Basically. They still play a little bit of both sides of the ball, but it's about Leander. What gives us the best chance to win? It's not about an individual. It's not about a player. It's not about a coach. It's about the Leander Lions family. That's what it's about.
Well, and I guarantee you the Marble Falls coaches, after a couple of plays, were like, that guy's a running back. Why is he blitzing?
Yeah, that guy usually is on defense. What's he doing running the ball?
And Ray made some good plays on defense as well. So, I mean, you know, we're lucky to have those fellas.
So for those guys to get on to come from defense to offense, how do they handle that transition? You know, when running the ball, you've got to be used to taking those handoffs from that quarterback and
especially those read plays.
You know, getting used to tucking the ball and hitting the hole and, you know.
Yes, sir.
How did he handle that?
Well, we handle it pretty well. Our kids do a fantastic job of handling the situation. You know, me and Coach Rob will say, hey, I need Ray over here at this period, and he'll say, okay, I need Matt over here at this period, and you know, we just work together as a team, and our kids handle it perfectly. I mean, they don't. There's no emotion. Okay, you need me? Okay, let's go. Yeah. So you can tell that's that winning attitude. Yeah. Do whatever it takes.
Yeah, and this team, you know, I've mentioned it before on Friday night. It's filled with athletes, and you know, a lot of these teams, they've got 2 or 3 guys that can make some plays, and that's what you key on. But what I see out of this team is on defense and offense both. There's a handful of athletes that can do a lot of things.
I agree.
And when you see like the drive that we saw in the third quarter coming out, you know, everything was firing on all cylinders. You see what the impact of a unit can do of a team that's full of athletes.
No doubt about it.
It's pretty neat to see.
I tell you, it's fun to watch when you sit back and you call a play and everybody's clicking on all cylinders, and I tell you what, it's fun to watch on offense. I can tell you that right now. So
is that when you walk to the cooler and get some Gatorade? You're like, oh, they got this.
No, don't do that. I can't lie.
Always ready for the next play call. Now, about, you know, that whole team playing as a team thing. One of the things that I always watch and notice, and just because that's always what I played, is the offensive line. One of the things I've noticed is they've gotten progressively better week after week after week. And it doesn't, regardless of the competition, you know, some of the D-lines they're going against are much better than the others. But I've seen them gelling as a unit, and it's really the perfect time for them to really be playing as a group.
Yes, I agree. I know I was talking to Coach Rob earlier today, you know, when we want to gel and click at the right times. And our offensive line, game by game, is getting better. And I tell them every day, I said, you know, they're the most important people on our offense, because without them, we're nothing. And as you guys can tell,
when they don't block, there's no play.
Yeah, they're gelling together, and they're coming along. We know we're a little nicked up right now, but you know, they're fighting through it, and guys are being able to plug in at different positions. That just makes our whole group better.
And they showed a little bit of toughness. I think it was Ruiz was out, came back in.
Came back in after being hurt. So, I mean.
So he deserves those extra wings that he was down there.
Yeah, hey, ho, slow up over there.
Okay. Now, the one thing that still seems to be a consistent problem is it's really those pre-snap penalties, early, you know, get behind the chains a little bit. And I know we're working on it. Is it just they're just so ready to make a play at that point that they can't
I think, especially down in the red zone, I really believe that we get anxious a lot,
Right.
and we want to move before the ball is snapped. And I
Get
like
that extra millisecond. Yeah.
Get that extra second, and we tell them, hey, sit in there, hold tight. They get excited because we're getting ready to score.
Right.
And I say, that's where you have to be more focused at. And so, we're working on those things consistently every day. But you know how it is when the bullets start to fire on Friday.
Right.
Things happen.
It changes. Yes, it
and how
does.
you adapt and overcome, and that's what we're trying to do.
And that's where all the work during the week pays off.
Yes.
On Fridays. It becomes a little bit more muscle memory than anything. So.
Right.
Yeah. You want to see if the audience has anything?
Yeah, audience,
Players, parents, you got any questions for Coach Pleasant? This is the kind of questions you like from the audience.
Oh, no.
Quiet? No, I know everybody's focused on eating, but I want to do, we're going to have a trivia game. And since you're the offensive coordinator and the next interview is your quarterback, I want the competition to be between you and Parker. Yeah, so before we interview Parker, we're going to have the game. Are you done eating, Parker? Okay, so if you'll turn that mic on, Gary, and we'll come on up here, Parker. We're going to play a little bit of a game. You keep your microphone on. Yeah, just have a seat right here by Coach. Now, it's a trivia game, and since Parker's the student and not the teacher, we're gonna let him choose the trivia category. But here's the thing, or the rub, Coach. You have to go outside where you can't hear, because you're gonna get asked the same questions that we're gonna ask Parker, and then whoever gets the most correct will win the prize, which is a fantastic book from 1989 or something. Friday Night Lights. If you haven't read it, it's a good book.
Got you.
So if you'll go outside for a second, Coach, we'll give Parker the opportunity to answer his 3 questions. Yeah. You can put these on. How you doing, Parker? Now, Coach Pleasant, you have to get out of earshot now.
Don't be opening the door.
Right. Don't be holding your ear up to the. Okay. The way that this works is you have a choice of 3 categories. So you'll pick that category, and then I'll ask you the 3 questions from that category, and then based on the number you get correct, he's going to come in and do the same thing. Okay. Same questions. So the categories are 2014 Texas High School State Championships trivia. So just this past. Okay. The next category is City of Leander trivia. Mm-hmm. And then the final category is football history trivia.
And that's a broad.
Yes, that could be anything.
I'll go with 2014 State Championship.
2014 State Championships is what Parker has chosen. Okay, here are your questions. Now, take your time, but, I'll let you know if you're taking too long. The first question is...
That good?
Can you just go test? A little bit closer. Now turn it. That's better, though. He just needs to work at the gain. You got it?
Yes, sir.
All right. We got volume on it? Speak again.
Well,
can y'all hear Parker through the speaker? Let's use the microphone. That way.
So much louder.
I didn't. Hello.
Wait, is this?
Really better. Okay. There we go. Okay. Speak into it. Make sure it works.
All right. Hello.
All right, there you go. Okay, here we go. In the division that we're in, 5A and 6A, both divisions, okay, there were 4 state champions. Mm-hmm. Name 2 of those state champions.
Alito and Allen.
Those are two of the state champions, so you got one correct. Okay, Parker's must have been watching football on that Sunday because they played every game. All right, a Leander coach's high school alma mater played for but lost the 5A Division I crown last year.
On our coaching staff.
On our coaching staff. Name the school and the coach.
I have to go with Coach Pleasant and at Temple.
Yes, that is correct.
Wow, studious.
Yes, that's two. Good job. Okay, and there is a tiebreaker in case they get them both. I'll get all three right. Okay, what Central Texas, quote, high school is the only school in the local news area to win a state title in 2014?
Say that again.
What, and I say this in quotes because it's not in Austin proper, but what Central Texas high school team is the only team in the local news coverage area, you know, KVU, KXAN, that won a state title last year? It's a tough question because they're not a higher classification.
They're not on 11.
They're not a high classification like 5 or 6A.
In Central Texas or just?
It's in the Central Texas viewing area.
No clue.
Should we give him a lifeline?
We've got a correct answer in the audience, but
Cameron Yo.
yes, that is correct. Cameron Yeoman. All right, let's hear it for Parker. Just stick around because there might be a tiebreaker. Parker went 3 for 3, similar to how he's going to open Friday night throwing the football, right? 3 for 3. All right, let's bring in Coach Pleasant. All right, Coach Pleasant. Parker went 3 for 3.
Pressure's on.
Yeah. I said that's how he's going to open the game, though, right? 3 for 3. Okay.
The name of the game is "Are You Smarter Than Your Junior?"
Yeah, are you smarter than Parker McNeil? Is the and
make
he's
any
3 for
promises.
3. They are pretty easy questions. One of them, if you get it incorrect, there's going to be lots of disappointment. Okay. Now, the category that Parker chose was 2014 Texas High School State Championship Trivia. So the most recent round of state championships, okay?
Okay.
Name 2 of the 4 state champions in Divisions 5 and 6A.
Cedar Park. No. Who's Cedar Park lose to? 5A.
In 5 or 6A, both 5 or 6.
Allen is one.
Allen is correct.
Okay.
That's one. You only need one more of the 4.
Navasota.
Pull it a little. Pull the mic a little.
Navasota.
No, that is incorrect. The 4 state champions in 5 and 6A were Alito. Ennis is who beat Cedar Park. Allen and Cedar Hill.
Oh, I should have got the Lido. They beat Temple in that.
Yep. Okay. So, well, technically Parker's already won the book,
cheated.
but we're going to go
He
ahead
cheated.
and go. He did get a little bit of help, so we're going to make that the last one that he got. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see how you. If you get that one correct, we'll go to the tiebreaker.
All right.
How's that? All right. Number 2. This is the one that you can't miss.
Oh, you can't say that in front
No, you can't miss it.
No, you cannot miss it. And I wasn't expecting him to pick the category, or 2, you to be a contestant when I wrote this. But a Leander coach's high school alma mater played for but lost the 5A Division I crown in 2014. Name the school and the coach.
on the staff.
Yeah, a Leander coach.
A Leander coach.
Yes.
Repeat the question.
Okay. A Leander coach,
Yeah.
his high school alma mater, played for but lost the 5A Division I crown in 2014. Name the school and the coach.
Leander High. You talking about Ryan Doobie? Coach Doobie?
What's that?
Coach.
Wow.
Coach,
Wow.
Coach Doobie.
I think Coach needs to
Okay.
give us 10 push-ups.
Yeah. Tomorrow,
I don't know.
Coach Pleasant owes y'all some push-ups. It's Temple. Temple lost in the state title game last year.
Oh, well,
And
I thought
so-
you said somebody on Leander. I'm like, I'm trying to think of who you talking about.
Right. You.
Oh, get out of here. Get out of here.
We're talking about you, huh?
Get out of here. Come on, man.
All right.
That's a
Now,
trick question, trick
let's see if you get the one that Parker had to get a little help from his offensive line, which, that happens. Quarterback gets help.
It's all right.
What
fine.
Central Texas high school is the only school in the local news coverage area to win a state title last
Cedar
year?
Park. No, last year?
Yeah, this past year. It's not a 5 or 6A school. That'll be your hint. They put in a lot of work.
They put a lot of what?
They put in a lot of work just based on their mascot.
No, it's not. It's not them.
You're too busy watching film. I understand,
I
man.
know.
To be, it's
Who
easy
is
for me to do high school
What
trivia
class
when
are
I
they?
get to watch a
What
lot.
class are they?
They are let's see, the title was in 3A, I believe. Yeah, it was
Around
a 3A
here,
Division
Liberty
1.
Hill?
No, it was Cameron, Yeoman.
Cameron, okay.
Cameron Yeoman. Okay, the tiebreaker was whoever got the closest. I'm just going to read it. Y'all can guess. But whoever got the closest to this number without going over. How many state title games were played in Texas in 2014 in football?
How many state title games?
Yeah, how many title games are there?
All the different divisions.
Yeah.
6A, 5A, 4A. Probably 16.
What would you have guessed? 12? There's actually 26.
Bam!
That's all that matters.
26. Now, Parker, you win the book. Have you read this? You have? No, you've read it? You haven't? I recommend it's a good book.
All right.
All right, so that's it, Coach Pleasant. At least you know you got a smart kid under center or behind center.
Appreciate it. All right.
All right, Parker, come up. We got to interview you now. Let's hear it for our first trivia champion, Parker McNeil. Really, that's more sparse than Coach Pleasant got. Come on. The slow clap. There we go, the golf clap. Let's hear it again. One more round for Parker. Nice work on the trivia there. That trivia pays off never. So it's a good thing to fill your brain with, I know. All right, I got just a couple of quick questions. We're not going to take up too much of your time. We're actually running a little bit long, I think. Let me get to them real quick, though, Parker. And they're pretty basic questions. I've been covering your varsity career the entire time since last year. I had no clue who you were when they put you in. I guess it was midway through the season last season. You had a pretty good game. Everybody knows who you are now as far as the competition is concerned. Nobody really kind of knew what to expect when you showed up on the field that night. How much easier is the game today compared to what it was when you first played varsity football last year? Is it easier? Because it seems like because teams are more focused, it may not be.
Well, at that time last year, it was just crazy because I was a sophomore, just being thrown in there. But Coach Smith helped me. The game slowed down a lot. And Coach Pleasant helped me, during the spring and the summer, just watching film, making the reads. It's just helped the game slow down a lot more.
Well, I want to ask you a question related to sometimes the way you run the football. You're a big, tall guy, right?
Yes, sir.
But when you see contacts coming, you do lower your shoulder and try to run over guys.
Yes, sir.
Do you ever think about sliding?
I don't like to.
I know you don't like to, but do you?
I never think to. But Coach Pleasant, Coach Smith are preaching to me now that, get down.
That is something that you should consider because long term, people are going to take shots at you regardless. So.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing to do. You got your pride, you're a competitor, and you really want to knock somebody's block off, most importantly. But, get down.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we want to see you out there every week. So, all right, now, you obviously spend a lot of time studying plays, studying film, practicing fundamentals, all of those things. How do you balance that with school, with, I don't know, do you work? Maybe not. I mean, schoolwork, family life, football. How do you balance all that? Just do it?
It just works out because, we go in the mornings, early, and then we come back in the afternoons, not that long, but, you just kind of make time for it.
Do you go to bed early?
Yes, sir.
What time do you go to bed?
About 9:30.
That's not that early.
No, that's not that early.
That's like an old person normal time to go to bed.
So what time you go to bed?
About 10, 30, 11.
Way later.
Yeah.
So with your dad as a coach, is it football all day, all night?
Not really when I get home. It's, kind of get away from football.
Yeah.
But we talk about it. We watch football. We talk about, plays or, how the game went, how practice went. But it's never, a coach. It's always a dad talking to me.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Sure.
Now, do you feel comfortable going to him and asking him just football-related questions? I know he coaches a different position group, but he obviously has knowledge of quarterback.
Oh, yeah. He's been around the game for a long time, but it's nice to have somebody that I can just go talk to about, just football.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Well, whether you know it or not, there are college coaches that really look for players who have parents, father as a coach. Mac Brown was real big on looking for players that had that, and it's because they have a greater understanding of the game.
Yes, sir.
Have you always played for your dad? Did he coach you in other sports or other places?
It's like growing up playing, Pop Warner and stuff like that. He was always there, always coaching. But really, when I was younger, he wasn't real into it. But when I got to middle school, he was always my coach, and in basketball too.
Do you like football better than basketball?
Yes, sir.
Everybody should.
So was he harder on you than the other kids?
There's just a little bit more expected.
Yes. That's a given when your dad's the coach, though.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me ask you this then. You just mentioned that you play basketball. Obviously, football's your love. But what position in basketball do you play?
Post.
You play post?
Yes, sir.
Do you get a lot of passes down there? You run pick and roll or what?
Yeah, a little bit. That's not really my basketball's not really my game, but.
So you focus on defense and rebounding and stuff. Okay. What other hobbies do you have? I know the people want to know more about the quarterback than just what they do on the field. So
I love to hunt. I love fishing. I love being outdoors.
What type of hunting do you prefer? Do you like to hunt birds? Do you like to hunt deer or duck?
I like deer, dove.
And you go with a rifle?
Yes, sir.
You don't hunt with a bow or anything?
Oh, no, sir. I'm not into bow hunting.
So how long have you been in Texas?
Whole life.
Your whole life?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because a lot of guys that have hunted their whole life, by now they're progressing to the bow at this point. Yeah. So it may be coming up soon. Mm-hmm. Looks like you got some. Anybody in the audience have a question for your quarterback? O-line?
You got a question?
No questions? Do you play any other positions besides quarterback?
No, I do not. They like to tease me because.
Well, I've seen you punt.
Oh, I can punt a little bit, but it's a every now and then thing.
Yeah.
If I can get one off, it's a good
So you
day.
don't think they'd let you play a little wide out slot receiver or something?
Yeah.
I don't
Silva
know.
wants,
Talk to him. I mean,
Silva wants to know if you like playing on the line.
no, he thinks he's funny because he thinks I should play tackle, but.
So do the offensive linemen, when they get mad at your father for coming down on them for one thing or the other, they ever take that out on you as the quarterback? They kind of keep that separate?
Not at all.
Or the defense in practice? Do they? Oops, coach, I didn't mean to hit him.
They're real strict about that, but the O-line, I never hear anything. Those guys are awesome. They take coaching. You know, they're good friends or good teammates.
And that's the approach right there. And if you look at any of the NFL great running backs or quarterbacks, they always talk about how they would take their offensive line out to dinner. Nobody's expecting you to take those guys out to dinner, but just the gratitude you show. It's a very good leadership quality, and you need that from your position. So, Gary, you got anything else you want to ask Parker?
No, I'm good, man. Go out there this Friday, and keep your hands on the ball. It might be a wet one.
No, yes, sir.
Yeah, do you like playing in the rain?
Not
as much.
Not really, but
yeah, it's kind of more of a running game when you do that. So, hang on to the football, lower that shoulder, run behind your pads. All right,
sir.
Thank you, Parker Miguel, everybody.
Appreciate it, Parker.
Sir.
Let's hear it for him. Well, Coach, you want to wrap this up? Oh, wait. Coach Rob, you want to come up? He's running already.
Yeah. That's a shame. Coach Rob can't talk.
We'll get him next week.
Yeah.
So, we've touched on it a little bit. We talked a little bit about position groups, offense, defense last week, this week. Possibility of playoffs, it's all out in front of us. Do you have any message you want to give to the fans, the parents, what they can do to help support their player in the coming weeks to kind of help them make that final drive to the playoffs?
Make sure they're sleeping, eating, and getting some rest, and make sure they're on time to practice, and they'll be doing just great. And study. Make sure they get their grades and study.
Yeah, that's
with the rain in mind, how are you preparing for that?
No, there's no preparation.
You're not throwing wet footballs or anything?
No. Parker's got pretty good hands. We practiced in the rain before. When I throw, I struggle a little bit with the wet ball. He doesn't, and he's being kind of modest. But and we catch 1,000 balls a day. It won't change our game plan. Our kids do a great job catching the football, and please rain. Please let it rain because we'll form well.
Yeah.
I think that favors our defense for sure.
Oh yeah, because I think we throw it better than they do, and we could just sick them. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, I miss the days of mud.
Oh,
days of mud.
No.
Maybe not from a coach's perspective.
It was a lot more fun as a player, that's for sure.
No, always want a fast track. As an offensive coach, I always want a fast track. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you for coming out. We want to thank Brooklyn Heights Pizza.
Yes.
Again, we want to thank
Brooklyn Heights
the Leander
awesome.
Booster Club. We want to thank all the coaches, players, the crew. Come out again for the next one. It should be next week, maybe not. We'll see.
We have
look for a flyer.
Special guest coming next week. I think Miss Spicer wants to show up next week. So
there you go.
All right.
Big time. We're getting big time. So y'all come out next Wednesday. All right.
Let's go Lions. Get to the playoffs. One game.